Hello, and for this session today, I'm going to be talking to you about rule of thirds. Again, this is something you might be familiar with or conscious of if you're drawing or sketching, but if not, hopefully it'll be quite an interesting thing to think about. For this module, I'm showcasing this sketchbook by Rhodia Touch, which is another watercolor sketchbook, but this time it's a hot press paper, so it's very, very smooth. And again, will be really good for delicate fine liner work and for watercolour washes. And I'm drawing with mechanical pencil from Rhodia Touch and also adding a bit of highlighting areas with ballpoint, so a Rhodia Touch ballpoint. So I hope you really enjoyed this session. What the rule of thirds is about, it's about where is your key point of interest, where's the focal point, and what we try and do to make, and the same applies in photography, to make our image more interesting and more aesthetically pleasing to the person who's viewing your sketch. As an example, this is a sketch that I did in Brussels a couple of years ago. This is interesting. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about watercolour as we go through these demos, but sometimes I choose not to add colour, but I just add watercolour washes to give sort of sense of depth, tone and atmosphere. This is just an acrylic sheet, and I've got my 9 squares or rectangles, and what I've done is I'm positioning my key building sort of left of centre, so it's not in the middle of the page. When I did this drawing, I wasn't thinking about it. As I say, it's subliminal, but if it isn't to you, make it part of your practice. Think about what you are trying to show and, where that might be. So everything is leading you to that one point. I also talk a little bit about almost like stage set design. So we have front of stage, we have centre, which is where the interest happens, and then sometimes, depending on what our sketch is of, we might have background as well. So that's an example of how I apply the rule of thirds. So what I was going to do very quickly, again, I'm using Rhodia products. This is hot press paper, really lovely books and really smooth. So again, really, really good. And I'm looking forward to demoing watercolour as we go through. But I've just pulled an image. This is actually a Google Street View image. And this is Trafalgar Square in London. I would be making my sketch, if I was there on location, I would be making that my strong feature. But you can see, this is called a viewfinder, by the way. So again, it's very similar to working with the camera. You could actually set the grid out on the paper, if you're quite new to doing things like this, and almost try and fill in the squares. So if I just do this very loosely, so that's our 9 squares or rectangles. And I can see that this, my statue, I'm never very good at drawing people at the best, so statues aren't the best for me, but his head's sort of there. And then we've got one of the lovely fountains sort of here. So again, the sort of fountain itself is off centre. And then we've got things going on in the foreground. So, we've got people. I suppose in terms of eye level and vanishing point, there's no real perspective in this view. So that's really interesting as well. It's more like layers. We've got people, we've got a bit of pavement change, we've got bollards, access to the underground, some trees. Then we've got things, very much like a stage set is what I would say. So I'm not looking at the heads of people in the way I would be looking at if I was doing a traditional one-point perspective view. But it's sort of about understanding that, just taking the clues from what you see in front of you. So I've got a couple of figures, got smaller figures. Again, I'm using the Rhodia mechanical pencil, 0.5, really nice. I'm just drawing people just to give a sense of movement. We're actually going down. That's quite hard to draw, that curve. Again, I don't know if that's necessary to my view, but I do like my trees. I always like a little bit landscape, sort of really nice, sort of, blurry. Again, we'll have fun when we start. You can see how I start to put watercolour on my trees. So I've got my fountain, perhaps this is just using a ballpoint, just to sort of highlight things. I'm doing this as a sort of 5-minute sketch, as opposed to on location, it would be half an hour. So this is much quicker than I would be doing. So we've got stuff going on. We've got our fountain. Let's just put a couple of people over here in this third. And then really, it's just about putting the background in lighter. So, just we've got that really lovely classical facade. So don't forget, remember this is a 5-minute sketch of a very complicated view, not a, we could be spending a lot longer on this. So we've got some stuff going on there. Then we've got bit more of a sort of colonnade, and we can sort of see things happening in the roof, and that carries on across. Again, it's sort of another bit of a colonnade, and there's actually lots of steps up, and there's obviously loads of people around in the background, and then we've got the dome just popping into that roof third. But that is about right, because it is lined up pretty much with the head of the statue. So, we've got the windows, and there's lots of stuff going on behind the scenes. But hopefully that sort of shows you the principles. So we've got the foreground, we've got the fountains, we've got the building in the background. And what I'll probably do is I'll actually finish this drawing so I can share it with you at the end of the demo. But that's just a way of thinking about the view in terms of composition, what we call the rule of thirds.